All right, how about this? In a game between two teams racing to the bottom, the Giants won, or lost, depending on how you look at it. With the chance to clinch the first pick in the draft, New York played the best they have in weeks against the Raiders. The defense forced 2 turnovers, while Jaxson Dart threw for over 200 yards and rushed for 2 touchdowns. 34-10 the win, snapped a 9-game losing streak for the Giants, and made the Raiders the favorite now to get that #1 overall first pick. Cam, was it a mistake for the Giants to win yesterday against the Raiders?
You play to win the game. You play to win the game. And you start to even ask yourself, what do the New York Football Giants need in the draft? Do they need a quarterback? No. So they don't necessarily need the first pick of the draft. That's going to go to either Dante Moore in Oregon or Fernando Mendoza. They don't need that. So now you say, how do we better equip a Jaxson Dart? You go in the draft and you get adequate defenders. You have one that will be readily available still at the #2 pick with Arvell Reese at Ohio State. You can also go to kind of buffer up the receiver position with Malik Neighbors potentially coming back with Jordan Tyson at Arizona State. These type of defenders or these type of players will be there. So whether you have the first pick or the second pick, it doesn't matter. You need to start to try to have good habits going into the season because we don't plan on being here, if I'm Jaxson Dart, we plan on playing meaningful games in December.
Jay, who did the Giants play again yesterday?
The Raiders.
Do you know how hard it is to lose to the Raiders? Like, do you know how much they would have had to work to tank that game in the first place? Have you seen the Raiders? I understand if they even tried, they were still probably going to win that game. But I'm with Cam here in terms of what you're gaining or losing here with the #2 pick. I imagine the Giants are going to probably trade that down and get multiple picks out of this from a team that's desperately in need of a quarterback. You got your quarterback. You're still going to get the guy probably that you want first overall anyway. If you're the Giants, most likely if you trade down to 3, 4, 5, something like that, you're still going to get the guy you want. I don't think that this was a huge deal that they won this game.
I could not disagree with you guys more. I think, first of all, you could have sat your starters. I understand wanting Jaxson Dart to get some game repetition. I get that because he's been knocked out a couple of times and he needs to understand that. Sure. But I would have sat him. I would have sat him in this game. I would have secured that #1 overall pick. You don't need it? Fine. Trade it away and get some more draft capital. And use it to bolster a team that needs help everywhere else besides the quarterback position. This is also a team that exactly 1 year ago did the exact same thing. They could have had the #1 overall pick and they went and beat the Colts. And then the Titans ended up getting the #1 overall pick. You could have had 2 years where you decided to maybe sit your starters, take a beat, where you could have bolstered your draft capital, and had a team that maybe was a little bit more full, and could win you some meaningful football games. I could not believe the way they were competing in this game. I'm like, what are we doing here? You don't even have a head coach right now.
Well, yeah, Shay, I'll tell you this. Good luck telling, football players to lose. Like,
yes,
there's no way around it. You got a bunch of alpha males in a locker room that every time that they go out, they play to win. There's been the biggest facade in all of sports to say tanking for this or that. When you're playing, if they're keeping score, you want to win. Now, having draft capital is the same if you have a top 3 pick. The first pick has capital. The second pick has capital too. That's what the New York Giants have, and as well as the third pick. So whether you in those type of 3, picks, you still can get any and everything that you want.
Maybe. I just think there'd be a team that would want a Fernando Mendoza that maybe would give you an additional pick that you could have used. I agree with you, Cam. I did not play professional football, obviously. But I understand it's hard to tell people that are getting paid or want to get whatever, like, hey, don't do your best job. But I think you could have sat Jaxson Dart, sat your starters, like for the beginning of it.
And they still might have won the game. That's the thing.
Maybe. All right, I'm getting yelled at. We have to go. We'll have more first take after this. The Eagles just barely got out of Buffalo yesterday with a win. Philly had a 13-0 lead heading into the fourth quarter, but the Bills' offense finally kicked things into gear, scoring 2 unanswered touchdowns in the closing seconds. The Bills elected to go for 2 for the win, failed to convert on a bad throw from Josh Allen. Here's head coach Nick Sirianni pumped by the win after the game heading to the tunnel.
Not so much anymore. Love this.
Okay. Cam, did last night say more, yesterday say more about the Eagles or the Bills?
It said more about the Eagles. I think Nick Sirianni is a tad bit delusional, kind of similar to Dan Orlovsky. Because if you look to the right or the left of him, there was A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown knew that the Philadelphia Eagles just got away with murder, giving that if you're excited as a Philadelphia Eagles fan because Josh Allen had an inaccurate pass, that does not take away of the fact that the receiver who Josh Allen was throwing to was wide open. Now, when you start to unpack last night's game, the thing that was abundantly clear was 0 for 7 that Jalen Hurts went without a completion in the second half. That cannot happen. And when you start to also unpack last night's game, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was a more physical team. And that's why we came to a situation to go for 2. So for me, it says way more about the Philadelphia Eagles than the Buffalo Bills in that type of dynamic.
This is an Eagles team that had 1 first down in the second half. And your head coach, and I'm not trying to be a hater, a win is a win, but is yelling like that the offense did something of importance in the second half. They got lucky. No?
Yeah, I would not be going into the tunnel celebrating as if we did something remarkable, especially in that second half. I'd be a little concerned from Sirianni, which is why I think we learned more about the Bills than the Eagles. The Eagles still have questions about which offense is going to show up come playoff time. And you just cannot believe you're Sirianni and the Eagles squad that you're going to have a second half in which Jalen Hurts goes 0 for 7. This is multiple times this season where he has not completed a pass in the second half. That is inexcusable. You need to have something better come playoff time. But what we found out more so was about the Buffalo Bills. And what we learned, what we kind of already knew, is that this team, if Josh Allen is struggling, they have nothing else. Yes, I know they have a running game that's a little bit better. I know the defense has improved. But what we've seen, especially in this game and against the Texans, when you have a physical defense that can get to you with that front four, you don't have wide receivers who can get open. You don't have any separation. Josh Allen is throwing the ball into coverage and guys who cannot go and get the ball. So what does that cause Josh Allen to do? He's going to force. He's going to, make some bad passes. He's going to make some of these bad decisions, make some errant throws, which kind of looked like what happened towards the end. That was a layup. That was a missed layup that he had. And sometimes Josh Allen, there's one weakness he has. When things are struggling around the rest of the team, he feels like he needs to put it all on his shoulders and make some erratic throws and erratic stuff. And what we saw against this Eagles squad and against that Texans squad, these defenses are too much for this Buffalo team, and they don't have anything outside of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I want to rock with you, Dave, but, man, look, Josh Allen, like I said earlier, has earned the right for any team to trust him in that type of dynamic.
Okay.
Go into a situation yesterday and say, hey, let's go win it. You got a quarterback like Josh Allen. Hey, let's go with it. Put the ball in his hands to go find us a win. Players mess up too. You know what I'm saying? And Josh Allen messed up. I do not suspect that to be an ongoing thing moving forward as we get prepared for the playoffs as well.
Playoffs right around the corner. We'll see what happens with both these teams. Both of them will be playoff bound, obviously. But you know who will not be? New York